I guess. So I just resized everything in Photoshop, and you know, now you have an emote. Make your follow noise, right? Some people get elaborate with that shit. And eventually, yeah, it would be cool to get it, get some really cool animations. I know Party had like this one of his weird characters like go across the screen on a Segway or some shit when somebody subscribed and followed, and I will get there. It's only been 5 weeks, man. Yeah, right. Most people have it like set up before they start streaming. I wanted to start streaming this weekend, but I had 6,000 more emotes to design. There we go. That's a smoking mama. All right. You hear me coughing? I can even. It's coming through. She's smoking so much. So hard for an artist to make partner, but I know you'll get there. You know what? I'm just gonna call the motherfuckers like I told you and be like, hey, I'm Sean Dietrich. I do all sorts of cool shit. Let's be partners. That's usually how I do it. I have a contract with a multi-billion-dollar rolling company. I have a mural up at Facebook. I work for PlayStation, and you're a gaming stream. What else do I do, Sugar? I work for Danny Wimmer, one of the biggest rock promoters in the U.S. I might, because yeah, I've already done, the first 2 out of 3 things are easy as hell to do, and then it's just getting that average of 75 viewers. But that's just what it says. I've read articles where they're like, they take it on a case-by-case basis. They don't necessarily go by that. If it seems like a pretty rad stream or, the efforts are there, if I'm streaming 5 nights a week, and I've grown quickly or I have really cool art, you never know. I'm not really worried or concerned about it, but... Yeah, is it? I mean, how long's creative been up versus how long has gaming been up? Like how long has Twitch been a streaming game site? And then when did the creative come into play? Creative's only been around for 3 years. and that's early? No. I mean, when's game? I get, gaming's easy. Set up your console and just start streaming. You playing some shit, and I've seen some pretty elaborate setups, but equipment-wise as well. Creative's a little more involved because you're actually doing shit, but. Yeah, and that's usually how I pitch businesses, is like, what's the value, we had a big conversation the other day about this, Sugar and I, and then we talked to a business mentor on Friday or Monday, but that was yesterday, right? Yeah. But just about like how to add value and the fact that like when I go at a company, it's like, how do I take something off the plate, off your table that saves you time? And then, just come up with a dollar amount for it. And, it helps eliminate them going, wow, we'll just go with a cheaper artist, which I hear that quite a bit. I'm like, you can get a cheaper one, but you're not going to get an artist like me. And then here's all the additional shit outside the art that I'm going to add to your project or company or whatnot. And I think a lot of artists need to start looking at business relationships that way in order to get those contracts. Because people are pretty, especially startups or any company really. I mean, if they're smart, they're going to take a look at where they're spending their money, and if an artist can definitely bring more to the table, just like I tour around, so for any of my sponsors, I can put them in front of anywhere between 600,000-700,000 and 2 million people, depending on how hefty my tour schedule is. So. Most artists aren't going to be able to offer that, so that's why I always valued the touring. Yeah. Yeah, an artist saying, I'll post my stuff on Facebook and tag you in it is like an employer going, will you work for exposure? Like, you're going to throw me out in the snow and let me freeze? Because I hope it's not the other exposure where I work for free.
Yeah, I'll take the freezing in the snow over.
Yeah, motherfucker. So we're just going to kind of kiss these lines in. That was the worst. Well, there's going to be a lot of people there. So you'll get lots of exposure.
You're like, are there going to be 150,000 people there?
Yeah. There's lots of people in prison, but that's probably not going to help my art career either.
It might.
Actually, I'd probably get, I'd probably do pretty well in prison because I can draw.
Dictionary for days.
Fuck yeah. Tattoos. I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker. Okay, but what if I drew you a hot chick you could jerk off to every night? I ain't gonna kill you anymore. There you go. I've now navigated prison. Oh, you out? Oh, yeah. Thanks for popping in, Gimp. You probably left like 10 minutes ago.
20% price drop on this synthesizer. Guess how much it still is?
20-some $100.
$24,000.
Oh, yeah. Love that pentagram emote. I gotta get me one of them.
Who do I gotta follow for that?
Yeah. Well, I'll just go back to that guy on Fiverr and make me a pentagram. Make me a pentagram with the tongue sticking out. Yeah, and I agree. I think you probably intimidate a lot of artists. Artists can be quite fragile. Yeah, they can. They are little crystalline glass objects. Like the slightest wind. Yeah. But I try and help them, at least because there's one thing I can't stand is arrogant artists that are just out for themselves and shit on other artists, and it's like, come on, dude, this is hard enough. And normally the ones that do it are not that good, because that comes out in their art. Sugar and I have worked with a few of those.
A few pricks?
Yeah, a few shitheads. I think you have a great attitude. Well, you're one. I'm going to record that. That's going to be my next t-shirt. Skarzar thinks I have a great attitude. Ain't nobody going to fuck with me after that. Yeah, I mean, I just being out there, I'm obviously pretty confident and loud and whatever, but I do like to occasionally think before I speak and definitely help artists. I mean, that's the name of the game. Because it's not like, I'm going to help an artist and they're going to rocket past me. I mean, that is very rare. It could happen. I won't underestimate anybody, but, if I'm the one that, well, that's why I sign them to my company, and then that's the end of that. But
yeah, they can rock it away as long as
yeah.
you're getting 10%.
But for me, it's like, dude, if I can save a few artists $100,000 by not going to the Art Institute, I think I've done my part.
You're like, someone made their parents $100,000.
Yeah, and their parents owe me a cut. Like, sweet. We got ink. Yeah. I like it. Looks good. Or does it? Let's get some erasing in. Let's get some of these pencil lines. These loitering pencil lines. Get out of this neighborhood. There we go. And I think one of our very first conversations, Cigars Are, was, about being a well-rounded person. There, if you're conservative or you're liberal, I think, both of you are shitheads. If you're not a nice blend of each, that's where people should more be looking. How to take a little bit of something from one side, a little bit from the other, blend it together. It's like Ratatouille when his fat cousin eats the cheese and then eats the strawberry and then puts them both in his mouth. And that symphony of flavor, holy shit. A symphony of aluminum bats. That was my buddy's punk song about beating someone up in an alley. Like a gang of friends.
Symphony of aluminum bats.
Damn right. Artists so polished, professional. A lot of artists need intimidated by them. Go find a channel with someone producing lesser work to feel good about themselves. Well, that's what I'm hoping. Like, if they pop in and we start talking about like how to help them, then it won't be, diffuse that. There's someone who was on earlier. We were talking about he or she asked about how long this would take, and their problem is like working on a piece for a certain period of time and how much they just grow to hate it because it doesn't become polished quick enough, or whatever is in their head they can't put on the canvas fast enough. And I was just giving some advice on that and how maybe you should break it down in sections, instead of tackling an entire painting. Like sometimes I've done paintings where I'll go draw 50 roses or research playing cards, or, with this big painting with the World War II one, it's, I did 3 full color paintings just to get the characters down. So, chunking it down into littler pieces is definitely, sugar's out. And that's how you go from this filth to this. Sugar is out. His brain hurts. It's the weed, man. Could be.
Let's go test that theory.
Yeah, because sometimes it's, and working on smaller canvases, these are 16 by 20 canvases. I am used to working on like 2 foot by 3 foot and bigger, 3 by 4s, 2 by 4s. Stuff that's a little bit bigger than this. And then when I started doing the Herb magazine covers, in order to get something done quickly in one night, I did these smaller ones, and I love it. So, yeah, digital, it is always layers. That's right. And yeah, whatever helps. Experiment, hop around. And that's one thing. I think a lot of artists early on get caught into a certain way to do things, and it's like that's not really the case. I'm almost, Yeah, it's funny. I was just on Journeyman's stream earlier, and he's just doing rough pencils for this entire book that he just got hired to do for this D&D module. I think it's a module, and he was just like, "Oh man, I'm sketching, and I don't know if this is like awesome for you guys to watch." And I'm like, "It is, and if you're smart, you'll watch it. And if you're an artist that wants to learn, you will watch the sketching process. And you can't jump into anything. You can't drywall a house without knowing how the studs are put together underneath. You can't construct a painting unless you know how to sketch. And people, especially artists, tend to discredit sketching. Even digital artists. Digital artists, I think, could benefit from a lot of sketching. And because the same techniques apply. I mean, even if you're using filters or preset brushes or whatever, if you built like a pattern and you're using it, I mean, yeah, Sketchbook was cool. I joined because you were there. Oh yeah, dude, that guy's awesome. I swear he's my doppelganger. We talk the same talk and curse like a fucking sailor, and yeah, and it's sometimes cool just to jot an idea down by sketching it. If you're out in public or doing something like that. You know, it's the Red Queen. If she's going to be red and gray, I almost want to do contrasting, like a yellow, the traditional, my smoky cheddar background, but with like, almost like some 50s kind of, like patterns in the back. Like, like maybe she's in like Reno and not Vegas, where they haven't remodeled still, since 1956 or something like that. Let me see if I want to do that before. So let's look up. So what I would do, and this is how I did for Ma Deuce back there. It's one of the paintings, the one with the machine gun that's scrolling. If you look to the bottom left, where it actually says Ma Deuce, that's all just like, okay, 50s lettering, 50s pattern, but just something to throw it, give it that old style. I almost, she could almost be in a casino with like Mickey Rourke from Barfly in the background, or Faye Dunaway, in the corner here, and then that, she's that old broad that gives, that's 90 years old giving blowjobs in the bathroom, but yeah, I think like a nice wallpaper type pattern in the background might be cool, because you have the stripes, and then if I did like 50s just patterns, maybe. Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah, let me unplug my iPad and I'll show you guys what I searched. So something like along those, maybe like, I like that, and I do like kind of the some of these are pretty cool but intricate, but like the jacks are really cool, but look up original Oceans. Oh, like Ocean's 11. With the Rat Pack. Nice. Okay. Yeah, this is what I was thinking. Let me zoom in here. But like these little jacks, I like those little Starburst jacks. If I did a couple of those behind her, and and just to give you a little insight into the workings, a little secret to what I'm doing here as well is if we have a series of these fiber bamboo, so fully sustainable, recyclable coffee cups that are coming out. And we're putting a whole line of those out. And one of them, I'm going to take the honey that's dripping off the Mad Hatter piece, and let's say, I don't have a coffee cup, but let's say this beer can's a coffee cup, but just having the honey pattern in the background, like as the cup, just like using textures that we rip out of my old, out of my paintings, and then, using the textures as something to print. So, especially when you get into the manufacturing game and doing pattern work or whatnot, it's like if I add that to the background, not only is this going to be on a Genius pipe, but I can take the scans of the patterns in the background, and I can actually use that on another product. So that's your working smart, not hard, because I can make this painting work for me on multiple levels. My manufacturer sent me, his name's Z. So this is a computer rendering, but that's the coffee mug or the coffee cup with grind rod on it, which is the big tapestry behind me. And then there'll be a lid, like a matching, maybe a contrasting color lid. So maybe that'll have like a baby blue lid, on top, or maybe an orange or something like that. But they look awesome. And it's something we're experimenting with, because not everything goes right. We actually just realized today we had a pretty big disaster. The dab mats that I've been producing, we got a shipment in. I took it on tour, and then I got back home. We started selling to some shops. Maybe 6 or 7 shops bought them, and then the big orders coming in. And then AFG, who's like a massive distribution company, is about to place an order. Somebody said, oh, if you put your dab on it, it pulls the ink off. And somebody else said, if you wipe it with alcohol. And I'm like, what? And it was a life lesson in manufacturing, man, because you just don't know. They printed on the silicone, but there's no seal. They didn't seal it with like a silicone seal. Literally, alcohol wipes the entire image. All the printing came off. And I'm like, holy shit. So I have to go. And thankfully, it's only a few shops that it happened to, so I can go back and refund them. They're actually going to trade them out. We have these fiber bamboo mats coming out that you can actually dab on the mat, but we're going to just trade it out or whatnot. But I'm glad I caught it before it went out to like the big distribution. But But that's why like all these things now, um, you know, and I didn't realize it because I could take a knife and I could take I took an end of a doorknob and scraped all, you know, just all over the mat and didn't make a single mark. But you add a little alcohol, shoo, whole thing comes off. It's amazing how different solvents react and, you know, whatnot with different materials. So it's like, now we know that every product that comes in, I get a sample of it, but we're going to blowtorch the fucker. We're going to pee on it. We're going to freeze it. We're going to cut it. We're going to burn it again. We're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that this thing can take some abuse, you know. So if you do, yeah, if you get into taking your patterns, which are amazing and need to be on packaging, dude, if you want to go that route, I can definitely help you with it. Shit, we are looking for pattern work to put on some rolling trays and stuff like that, you know. So we have fiber bamboo trays. These things are amazing. They're all sustainable and they're really cool looking. But yeah, stuff like that. And the one girl at Genius Pipes was talking about, like, you know, taking some of my patterns out, you know, and textures in the background and like turning them into fabrics and whatnot. So so yeah, like by adding a couple of different elements in the background here, I can actually strip these out digitally once they're scanned in and actually use them for different patterns and whatnot. So if I did do it, I would say I would probably start with marking, let's say, like if it's a wallpaper, and we'll mark down the middle. Don't need to mark that. Maybe some semi-even-ish lines where the you know, we could even do thin like wallpaper lines. Like if you look at the wall behind me, like, let me tip the camera here. Whoop, I moved my beer. I'll turn the camera, but you can see I'm a sucker for like that's like brown in the middle, and then it's like blood red, and then the gold on the wall, those stripes, is a really thick, aged, cracked gold wallpaper. So it looks like something that'd be on the walls of like an old Italian church or something like that. But I like using patterns, and you know, and it's one thing I figured out, because when I was doing a lot of work, I always tend to do like big characters, and I like doing that. But the minute you start adding like little stripes, or you do like the honey pin striping on the hatter, patterns in the background, any little thing like that, the patches on the hatter's hat, just adds so much to it, and it just adds a whole different level of depth. There we go. Yeah, I'm glad I figured that out too. Really glad. Yeah, I mean, even if it was just like maybe even alternating patterns, like if I did maybe one of these little, and I'm gonna hate myself for making myself do this detail work when I go to actually do it, but it'll look rad. And they always like offset. That's what I liked about the 50s. I'm not a big fan of symmetry. I absolutely do not like it. It rarely occurs, if at all. Somebody told me it never occurs in nature, and I'm thinking, you're right. Exact symmetry is very hard to replicate in nature, but move this up a bit. This one kind of went the same, but a little. Yeah, and if these are like, you know, that smoky cheddar, and these are like pale blue, that would look pretty, I think pretty rock and roll. And these are kind of framed up in a really, you know, I could just do them on the wall like that. Or, Yeah, maybe, okay, let's try something. When I mean try something, I mean probably committing to it because it's tough to erase on this canvas. In fact, we're going to exaggerate that one a little bit, kind of point in towards her. We'll have to shift a little more. And then in the end, there's all these little goofy lines like that, So we'll add those in the end as well. So yeah, maybe one there, maybe do a big one here, and then maybe in between, maybe we'll just have a couple of weird colored lines going up and down behind her, because I'm not sure if they did anything like, they did kind of those round, like, it's almost like a round TV. Yeah, I like that. You like it? All right, cool. I need some sort of feedback. And then we'll go super big, and then they kind of, the side or one of the sides is just really thin, and then they do one that's just kind of like moderate. So now I'll do about 6 more of those, which are clearly a pain in the ass to draw. We'll be in business. All right. And they didn't, I guess you can't really tilt them. They just kind of, all right. And then we'll make a big sized one here and a normal one there. The tree one. Yeah, in the original sketch, it was her hands, just kind of chilling like that. And I'm like, nah, it's kind of boring. And when I did the tree, and the fact that you can't see her arms almost kind of looks like she's just slumped, and she's just been playing poker for so long. And she's just like, I'm so sick of this and tired and bored and off with their fucking heads. Yeah. See if I can freestyle one of these. If not looking at an image reference. I can't. Okay, that one's go. How many do they normally have? 3, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 7. It's about 7 or 8. Okay. Yeah, it just definitely adds a weirdness to it. But I always like to go for, just off the wall shit. Bringing in patterns. I mean, you don't really think Alice in Wonderland. I mean, everybody thinks of very organic, out in nature, chasing a rabbit, Sputnik, yeah, the tinted visor. But like to make her a poker player, spending her social security checks and whatever, just taking it in a completely different direction is, if I am going to do these characters that I did not create, I am going to, I'm going to make it almost like, if you looked at this, how would you know it's the Red Queen, It's really just kind of like suggestive of it, but it's through the marketing that we'll do that you'll be like, oh, I try and separate myself from other artists that, do tackle this subject matter and, just like my comic books, when I was explaining the backstories behind all my comics, I was like, I'm pretty sure no one's drawn this book, so no matter how long it takes, I think I'm safe if I do a story about a dumpster baby. And a demented, obese chick, and a little boy who beats out his mom's eyes with an egg beater, and I think I'm good. Yeah, only if I say there's a Red Queen. I mean, this clearly is, like I said, it's just going to be kind of indicative of it. This is my Red Queen, she's mine now, and I may use her in a different, kind of like what was the character? Is it Gary Tribideau, the cartoonist who did Gonzo Journalist? It was clearly based off Hunter S. Thompson. It was in the newspaper, funny pages, and Thompson absolutely hated it, but it was his kind of, parody of it, or parody of Hunter S. Thompson. And there's a good example. It just popped up in the image stream, but the girl getting her hair done with the ferns and whatnot, that's Alice, from a very obscure, painting I did where they're all doing drinking absinthe. So, you would absolutely not know that that was Alice from Alice in Wonderland unless I said something other than maybe you would look at the smile on her cup and maybe think, oh, that's kind of a Cheshire smile. But we've even coined that term, like when you see a Cheshire moon, it's anything with just kind of a half smile. We've just coined that term. Oh, it's a Cheshire smile. It's a Cheshire moon. So it's kind of even look at Rick and Morty. That's based off Back to the Future. So they came up with their own creation, but they did it in such a way that they paid homage to something that they loved. Stylistically, yeah, this is my shit. Nobody will take that away from me for sure. And it only gets more refined as the years go on, and as I actually start to pay attention and dive into different areas. Like when I started working for OCB Rolling Papers, I did the forest deity, and that painting has an obscene amount of ferns and leaves, and it took so many hours to paint that. But the background was so awesome that I was like, that's why Alice has the ferns, No. Are those buttons on the chair? Oh, you know what? No, that's not a chair. Hang on a second. That is a, let's see if I can pull that out again. Here it is, images. Yeah, this was the dress I modeled that I modeled her dress off of. So it comes up above her head. It's actually part of her dress. But yes, it could look like a chair, just like, when I first drew it, it almost looked like she was hunched, and that was her elbows. So, these are all poker chips. You got the little tree holding her cards. Her arms are slumped down behind the poker table. And these are just background decorations. So Victorian color for women. Yeah, Middle Ages too. I think it came up in a Middle Ages search. Queen Elizabeth's dress. Yeah, that's kind of cool. You know what? That would be cool. Like if that was her dress, and then it was like a super high back chair that she was sitting in, like absolutely ridiculous chair. And then these are buttons on the chairs. No, they're actually little like 1950s patterns, little accents. I was just telling Cigar Czar that I'm going to add a few of those around as kind of decoration and really kind of bring some contrasting colors from the red and the greens that are going to be here. This is going to be like smoky yellows and blues and like baby blues. And then I'll be able to take these patterns once they scanned in and use them on some other products that I'm producing. So making the painting work for me as hard as it possibly can. There's only so many hours in the day, and believe me, it's like, when you do start out, it's Yeah, the background extras. You do start to go, wow, do I just have to produce originals, you know? And then you jump into doing your obviously your reproductions, your prints and whatnot. But there comes a time when you start looking at paintings and going, well, what if I extracted patterns and whatnot, um, you know, to put on a coffee mug or do a dress pattern out of it or whatnot, or and so that's where these little guys are going to come in. And I'm wondering, so I think they're just going to float. I don't know if I'm going to put lines. If I do, it'll be really thin ones. And I think I want to, yeah, I'm going to do this side and see what it looks like. Awesome. Thank you, thank you. Glad you dig it. You have fun welding? Didn't you say you were welding some stuff earlier? Or are you working, or are you a welder, like artistically? Or did I completely read that wrong? And you're like, I want to fly an airplane. So square, 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 square. If we did like a opposite pattern going across the wallpaper, so okay, so it will match. Okay, we're gonna go. We don't want to make it the same as the other one. And I'll definitely have to zoom in to color these for you. You'd be like, what on earth is he working on? Maybe something like that. There we go. It's a welder. Fun? No, it's too fucking hot, even at 1:30 a.m. I can imagine. I can imagine. I've got some friends that weld. And depending where you're at in the country, yeah. I mean, I'm in Washington, so we've actually had a sweltering for me right now is like 75 degrees. But we have a big family reunion, and well, they start coming in next week, Sunday, and we actually have like it's going to be up in the high 80s for us. Yeah, welding is rad. Maybe not when you have to do it and you're swimming in the shop, but I've got some friends that do some artistic welding, build the big sculptures and shit for Burning Man. And this girl I dated back in New Orleans, her brothers were underwater welders. I always thought that was absolutely rad. I'm like, holy shit. There we go. Oh, that was Discord. High 80s, low 90s. I don't do any cool welding. Well, you know what? Whatever you weld, if it holds it together, I think that's pretty fucking cool. And I'm sure the client is happy too. Maybe we could. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna do a kind of a larger one here. I'm gonna do another one here, and I'm gonna do one up here. Like I said, I hate symmetry, so I'm gonna do 7 of these, and then I'm gonna have one there, and then maybe I'll tuck a couple behind her. So almost like they're staggered on the wallpaper, but that one would be up there. So, you know, yeah, it's nice up here. I mean, it's actually been we had a mild winter, and I think we're on track to have a pretty mild summer. I mean, it's been sunny, but yeah, it's definitely been chilly for July, even by Washington standards. So. But as long as the reunion is it's got some nice weather. Some good beer drinking weather. There we go. And again, roughing the pencils in. Once I come in with the inks, it'll be all tightened up. And these will probably end up being pale blue with just like black or white going around the edges there, so I can wash over top all of it. But we'll see. I may go in with some of that actual blue and whatnot, but I think it's adding a lot of action. It's almost like she's, you know, like some weird 50s fireworks show behind her, you know, go, you know. I never was a fan of symmetry. My shit's always like her nose is all fucked up and this to the left, and I never found, you know, I could never look at those things, you know, where it's just mirror image of each other in quadrants and it woo, spins around like on the computer, and I'm like, make the left go higher, damn it, or something along those lines. But yeah, I like drawing things that are off. I used to do it to my art teacher, and she would go nuts because I would be like, I'd do shit where it would share a line, like of two buildings behind each other, and I'd just draw the same line, and you know, or I'd make it so it looked weird, like anatomy-wise. But I'm like, I go, well, look, if I hold my arm like this or whatever, and it would look all weird. And I'm like, but it's true. And so, because I think we're so used to comic guys just picking the prime anatomical, you know, positioning and whatnot, that we don't realize that sometimes we look pretty funky when we're just chilling. So, Vision Man, thank you for the host. How is it going? Cheers, cheers, cheers. And I think since I designed this motherfucker, there we go. Let's throw out some devil tongues. Awesome, man. And it's not like you shooting me. Yeah, I mean, especially, I mean, I do a lot of shit that's in nature, you know. So and just stuff that kind of grows and it just looks nice when there's no symmetry. But yeah, I mean, if it's like industrial design or I'm doing buildings or cars and it has to be, then when it isn't symmetrical, it almost looks like a Tim Burton cartoon rather than a, you know, something that should be. Should have symmetry, yeah. But then again, I mean, if I really want to drive my art teacher, you know, at the time in high school crazy, I would, whatever the rule was, I'd be like, oh, we're breaking that. Like, you can say goodbye to that shit. And, you know, and I attribute that teenage rebelliousness to helping to develop my style. So, sorry, Miss Lagarde, you were wonderful. There we go. Little individual triangle. That almost came out too starbursty. Taste the rainbow. There we go. Yeah, that adds so much more action than just the still shot. And like I said, but just this center part will be on the Genius pipe. And oh, hang on 1 second, guys. Let me plug my phone in. Cool Vision, we'll be here. My only rule in art class was to do whatever I wanted. Fuck yeah. You know. Yeah, so with, you know, again, the Genius pipe that I'm designing this for, here's the Modus. And I love it. Snoochies, Kevin Smith, Jason Mewes signed this one. My buddy Chase went up, there's a huge line, he just gave him a bunch of hash. He's like, I got some Lebanese hash, man. You know, this is for you. And they're like, oh, and he's like, hey, can I pop in here and get an autograph and a picture? So he cut line just to get this signed for me. So Chase, thank you. But yeah, this pipe is absolutely incredible. In fact, I'll show it on screen. But this is it's 2,000 divots magnetized. Easy to clean. Literally wipe it with a paper towel. draws the smoke over these 2,000 divots. Same technology used in nuclear reactor cooling and CPU cooling. So it's a coughless, virtually coughless hit. Put your green in there, slide it down, and then when you're done, you slip it like that. It extinguishes it, so you can put it in your pocket. So this is this year's sponsor for my art tour. So they've provided a lot of financial and assistance and help with promoting and whatnot. And so we're just designing some new pipes. So obviously vertical. Got to, once this is scanned in, we'll be able to put her on the pipe, looking, looking this way. And then, so I'm almost thinking like the queen, the Q for the queen might end up being the hole for the screen. So, I do like good industrial design. This, I am a sucker for this shit. And to know the people that invent stuff like this is, and now that I'm getting into manufacturing my own products, it's really opening my eyes to that. Pulling that curtain back is like, how is this shit made? What are these guys on Shark Tank talking about? Or these guys are made in America though. The Genius pipes. So, and they are hand assembled in Ohio, and then they just bought a house just outside San Francisco that they're going to be throwing some big parties at, and I should be at one in October, just before Aftershock Festival. So we'll do like a preview of all the new art I'm going to be debuting at Aftershock, and then weed's illegal, Cali, so there'll be a bud tender, there'll be open bar, there'll be whatever, so, Sugar's, he's got his sitting over here, in the corner there, he's got his Alice in Wonderland piece, so, All right, Nana, back to work. Thanks for popping in. He loves it. There's certain aspects, like a lot of my friends will mod it. They'll take the screen pops right out. They'll pop it out, and then that's less metal you have to use even. So they'll just pop the screen out, and you can actually use it without the screen. My buddy Eli does it too. He's a boat builder. But the cool thing about it is, first of all, it's anodized aluminum, so no metal detector. And then you get it into a concert, like my buddy will literally be like, yeah, Mom will be right there, and walk through, and people won't know that it's a pipe. They'll think it's, I've had friends get this through TSA and tell them it was a phone charger. Because it kind of, if you can see the hole right there where you draw from, they're just like, oh yeah, that's where your USB cord goes through. So it's very slick for discreet, and they do have one now that's like this big. They do have a mini out, so it's even more discreet and able to be carried around or used. I'm not saying like, sneak it into your work and smoke it and then go work a big forklift, but but for after work, when you want to crack your PBR and smoke your fine weed. Did that get on the painting or me? Oh, me. I saw it drip. I've painted with whiskey before though, so don't put that past me. So maybe we should choose off that. Maybe another. Yeah, we'll just go. I wanna shrink that down a little bit. Yeah, my wife does smoke too, like a chimney. So it's called a Genius pipe. I will put it in chat. Appropriate. Yeah, geniuspipe.com, and then under the I think it's limited edition, under the shopping cart, you'll see the designs of mine. But they have tons of designs out, so it's pretty, And there's so many more we're working on. I'm gonna work up a caterpillar one for them. So then we have the Hatter Alice, the caterpillar, the Red Queen. We'll do a White Rabbit. We're going to do one where the hole here is actually the rabbit hole. So I'll have maybe the rabbit poking out in his pocket watch, and then this will just be kind of like grass or whatnot, the other kind of grass. Yeah, but that's how I got in the industry. My wife smokes a lot of weed, and my friends smoke a lot of weed. I never did any drugs, and I never smoked weed, and I've never smoked a cigarette. I've only drank, and I was 2 months before I was 21, before I had my first full beer. My grandpa would give me sips when I was like 5, but I always thought it would fuck up my art. A lot of people are like, "Oh, you gotta do acid, it will open up doorways," and I'm like, "Well, what if it shuts a few doorways?" So I didn't want to take that chance. So maybe when I'm 50 and I've made my millions or whatever, I can, and my kids are out of school and I don't have to be like of sound mind anymore. I'll maybe try a little something, but I'm a huge supporter of legalization. So, um, especially on the medical side, because I have seen firsthand the results and the pain relief. And my buddy Chase made a oil out of what was it, 50-year-old. I'm gonna say not macadamia nuts, white chocolate or I don't know, truffles or I don't know. He liquefied this shit and it was like some gourmet oil, and then we gave it to a friend of ours who was going through radiation and whatnot for cancer, and it helped her immensely as far as like easing the pain without having to take painkillers and whatnot. So I don't smoke, but I am very big in legalization. And that's what I told people. I said, you know what? It's also cool to have someone that doesn't smoke on the side of legalization. You're going to need people on that end of the battle too. So, but the Genius Pipe, yeah, I remember when I first saw it at the Champ Show. It was just amazing. I love industrial design. I think it's amazing. I'll give a shout out to my buddy Gideon. He worked for 8 Incorporated. He helped design all the Apple stores, the modular installations for the Apple stores. Um, Another project he was working on, he told me, was like a 30,000-year-old piece of petrified wood they yanked out of a swamp in Japan and then made a sushi, like the main banquet table at a sushi restaurant with it. And but just all sorts of crazy shit. But now he runs, um, it is called Think Tank Crush, and I believe that's the Instagram. And he comes up with some wild shit, levitating stuff and magnetic stuff, and uses just he can take any material and turn it into pure art. He just finished up doing a $100 million whiskey distillery. I think it has 2 vodka towers as well. And this thing just looked like something out of a steampunk book. It was absolutely incredible. So I got a lot of cool friends that do cool shit, and I love having them around and looking and being inspired by what they do as well. So it's definitely I've definitely been lucky in that aspect. Uh, so we have that lack of symmetry because I hate it. I think we're gonna put one here, maybe a small one, just above her head. Yes, that is a girl. All right. Yeah, nice. We can put one, yeah, and then we'll just start tucking them kind of in between, so that way it looks like the wallpaper goes behind her, and it's not just floating TV Sputniks. What happened to Sputnik? Is that thing still rotating around up there, or did it crash? Do we have it in a museum? There we go. Yeah, and they just started QR coding these and RIFD chipping them and serial number, and so you can scan a QR code, you can upload photos, they'll give you your own page on your um, on their website. I mean, it's really cool, the stuff that they're doing with these pipes. And, as far as bringing a lot of technology into the smoking scene. Like I do all the covers for Herb magazine. It's a business to business trade publication, and And a lot of what they did, they've done the Snoop Dogg and the Bob Marley and all the and Cheech and Chong and all that on the cover. But I just did a Led Zeppelin, and we did a interview with people that are at the forefront of the problems with California legalization. We've done Jack White. So there's other industries like rock and roll. There's a huge cannabis presence there, and it just hasn't been served because everybody thinks everybody needs Bob Marley flags and whatnot, and nobody ever takes the time to consider that maybe there's some rockers out there. So to see like Genius Pipe integrate technology and whatnot and just do this beautiful industrial design is really cool. Good question. It might still be in space, but most likely the rocket wasn't powerful enough to place it in far orbit. Yeah, that's what everybody thinks is a alien. It's just Sputnik coming around. What's up, guys? All right. And one here. I love these things. Yeah, let's put the TV set. I know it's just a cube. I don't know why it reminds me of a TV set, but I think because not only is it like the square, but these kind of remind me of old bunny ears. I don't know what your age group is, but look that one up. Same era as Sputnik, little bunny ears that used to be on TVs. So, all right. So we got a Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland, but I took her. I made her 90 years old. She got her poker visor, so this will be like a clear green. We got her roses, painting the roses red, and this is like her crown, her queen crown. It's roses with cigars, with cigarettes. She has her Queen of Heart card, and then these are eventually going to be Social Security checks because that's all you see at a casino is just pumping their Social Security money in the slot machines, and then you have the dress that comes up, the real high collared Middle Ages, Dark Ages type dress. I guess Middle Ages. And then, she was holding her poker cards, but I think she's a little too good for that. So she has a tree that grew that is now holding her cards for her. And then all the finished cigarette butts, and then her stack of poker chips. She may have just started. It could be an off night. We don't know. And then I went in and decided just to do some like 1950s type decorations in the background and to kind of enhance it and to be able to play two more colors off of the red and green that are going to be in the area here. Smoky cheddar yellow, pale blue, and then some reds and greens. My usual color palette, that I'm kind of kicking around right now. And yeah. I guess I'll, let me go ahead and ink in these things. It's only midnight. I've only been on for a couple hours, right? 2.5 hours. That's like baby time on Twitch, right? Ha ha, I remember my first 3 hours. There we go. Number 0 brush. Holbein ink actually being used, unlike Cigar Czars, who is using it as a lovely paperweight right now. I told you I was going to call you out on that. Every chance I get. And if you haven't already, follow me, add me on Instagram, @SeanDietrich, and then head over to SeanDietrichArt.com when you get a chance. I have a lot of time lapses. I have a blog that is geared towards the business side of art, how to price, how to sell, how to tour. And if you are looking to scoop prints, merchandise, tapestries, bandanas, face shields, dab mats, whatever, I do have free shipping. There's a coupon code going on for signing up for the mailing list. And I do go on tour twice a year. I live paint and sell my art at the major Danny Wimmer rock shows. Welcome to Rockville, Carolina Rebellion, Rock on the Range in the spring, and then I'm about to head out to Bourbon and Beyond, Louder Than Life, and Aftershock. So come late August, early September, my streaming schedule will change, and I will do quite a bit on the road. Yeah, it is. Holbein. Let me put it in chat. If you guys are looking for the best ink, Holbein ink. Best, most opaque, waterproof ink you will ever use, or that I've ever used. And so, of course, it's that what you'll ever use. But yeah, I used to use Higgins Black Magic. I used to use Speedball. I used to try. I mean, it was like use Speedball. I didn't Speedball, but it's amazing. And if you watch me enough, this is called the coloring book phase. So once I get it all inked in, it just looks like a giant coloring book page. And then I will literally go in and wash the color over it, and it will not smear the ink. You can throw a bucket of water on this shit, and it will be it'll be safe. But if you happen to fuck it up, I am not responsible. Just don't start pouring water on it while you're inking and be like, Sean lied. Because I know you're out there. Let's do these little circles first. Well, there's like certain things where I'm like, wow, that looks really good. And that just added like 2 hours of painting. But that's fine. This will be my, what is it, Tuesday, so I'll probably take almost all week on this. Of course, I said the machine gun mosquito was going to just take a couple days, and I banged it out in one night. I'm like, that's all right. If so, we'll move on to the next pipe I have to design, and then it's one thing. I have a lot of personal projects I would love to be working on, but right now it's like I got to get stuff in production. Okay. And believe me, you will not get a perfect circle out of me. Loosen the bottom. Okay, just making sure that wasn't too far on the bottom corner off camera. My infamous draw off camera and not notice it for 10 minutes. You know what? I'm gonna hold off on these little starburst things until the very end, because I want them to be super crisp. But they're so thin, I don't want to like go over them again like I normally do. But on this big one, we can do it. It's like that hair I can't see, but I'm starting to see ink flying around in different directions that I don't want. I'm like, oh, something stuck to the brush. Germans came pretty close. Those ball bearings from Germany are gold standard, but even they will tell you purchases beyond their capability. Well, good. And if the Germans can't do it, nobody fucking can. I had German bearings on my skateboard. But I sucked at skating when I was 13, so not a good testimony. That's pretty crazy, though. I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know if it was even physically possible to create even mechanically engineer one. Something simple, so yeah. Exactly, and that's a good life lesson. Something simple is so hard. That's why we tend to fuck shit up, because we don't realize how simple things are. Like, hey, there is a simple way out of this. Alright, so we get this nice big dude right in here. I'm just kind of, it's easier for me to like kind of flip the canvas around and so for those just tuning in, if that looks like a weird vagina with a flower and a visor, and I swear to God, it's when you flip it back over, it's a humanoid. It's the Red Queen. There we go. Oh, I like this track. Yeah, this is a good one. It's got a very, very Lords of Acid synth to it. It gets pretty insane. And all this music that you're hearing tonight, produced by Sugar, all unreleased. This is all brand new stuff that hasn't even come out yet. Through various projects. So you'll notice like the last few tracks, it was his girlfriend singing, and it was a little more dancey and spacier, and then this shit is just like straight up kind of techno industrial. So same dude, multiple personalities. Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that. Okay. I guess I can. So just don't want to have to go over it again and have it get too thick. There we go. Star Wolf Den, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are working on a. There you go, the Red Queen playing poker. But I'm gonna tip it back over again. Awesome, thank you. Yeah, appreciate it, man. This is what, my 5th week streaming, so really happy with the response, and met a lot of cool people. I've only had to ban one moron, so I'm assuming that's a good track record. But yeah, we just finished this piece up last night. So this will eventually look something like this, color-wise and stylistically and finished painting. But this is a bourbon barrel literally drinking himself to death. And then He's got his sourdough bread sombrero and his horns and the boneyard, and then you got some Venus flytraps and the devil's head with his tongue and some slugs, and usually just mushing random words like that together is how I'll come up with a painting sometimes. But in the image slideshow, you can see some of the more refined work that's or recognizable. But yeah, this is just a crazy rock and roll piece that I was doing for a show in Kentucky called Louder Than Life in September. Yeah, last weekend of September. Nine Inch Nails headlining and whatnot. So this might be one of the official posters or whatnot. We'll see. And this one is a image for a Genius pipe. So this is a pipe company that sponsors my art tour. So it's a magnetic pipe that you smoke out of. And so I'm working on some new designs for them. But yeah, so I try and, subject matter and whatnot, I try and hop around a lot. I don't like getting pigeonholed, and I like to show you guys like the various, everything from pinup work to, which I haven't painted yet. Wait till I start drawing up the new pinup girls. I have about 25 new pinup paintings fleshed out as far as like subject matter and what vehicles are going to be in there and what World War I, World War II vehicles. I'm going to do my first set of hot rods. And then I found some really obscure vehicles too, like obscure Russian World War II bombers and stuff like that. So I hop all around depending on what I'm doing. And 9 p.m. till whenever, Monday through Friday, is my streaming schedule right now. And SeanDietrichArt.com is my website. @SeanDietrich is my Instagram. And cool, welcome to the stream. I'll shut up and paint. I probably won't shut up, but I gave you the basics. All right. Is that okay? We have 2 songs left before I gotta load some more music in. I always find myself stuck on subject ideas. Yeah, I've been there. One thing I used to do, if you are stuck, so Hunter S. Thompson used to retype The Great Gatsby, to feel what it was like to write the great American novel. And I thought it would be a good idea. So what I used to do if I was ever stuck on an idea is I would take Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas and go, okay, what if I was hired to do the illustrations for this book? What would I draw? And so the material's already there, and I would just start drawing and coming up with crazy shit. And from there, that would, jumpstart, my creativity. So that's one technique I used to use. But I wrote a lot of shit down as when I traveled in my 20s. So, and people watching, and so ideas now, I think I'm pretty set, and they come pretty easy. But like for Cigar Czar and I were talking earlier, I was like, it's the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland, but you wouldn't know it until I reference it as that. She's gonna have the Queen of Hearts card. She'll have the red lips and whatnot, but it's so stylized, and she's like a degenerate degenerate gambler in Vegas or Reno, and her Social Security checks in her hat, and she has the visor. And you wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, that's Alice in Wonderland. But I like taking characters like that and just like warping them and taking them into like real life situations, or bringing them back through the rabbit hole. So let's say if Alice didn't fall down the rabbit hole, what if all the characters came out and then had to get real jobs, or she's so damn old she just started collecting Social Security. So, whoops, let's drop my brush. Yeah, share some art. If you're an artist, feel free to drop a website, and or if you have like a specific picture or whatnot. I'm all about artists sharing art on here. Totally cool with it. Yeah, that might be a good series. Just like, what if Wonderland came to the real world? We'll call it like No Wonder in Wonderland, or All the Wonder, Wonderless Wonderland. We'll call it Alice is a stripper now. I gotta pay for college. There we go. Yeah, oh, this little guy. Where the hell do you think you're going? I missed him. Yeah, let's see. Woo. And Sugar's actually going to be working on all the time lapses. So everything that I've streamed in the last 5 weeks, those 6 paintings are going to become time lapses. He's already writing the music for them. So we'll have a shitload of video content coming out and over the next 200 years. Because that's probably how long it's going to take to finish all this shit. But that's okay. I ain't going nowhere. There we go. Yeah, and even if we erase these little lines that, they were just for reference, they were just to show me that, like, okay, once I reintroduce those little starburst lines that are in between the larger satellite things, those are the official term. Once they're reintroduced, I'll know it'll work fine. So. First oil painting I did a few weeks ago. All right, let's check this out. Checking the link on my phone here. Oh, trippy. That is wild. That's oil? Right? Just waiting to varnish, yeah. Very cool, man. Oil's tough. I did the Bob Ross thing for a while. And, I mean, the vibrancy you get is, like, pretty amazing. Was going to work out. Boss told me to get the fuck out. Oh, well. Yeah, I love oil. I wish I would have kept up with it. I'd like to get back into it. Now that I've got a studio big enough, I can maybe tuck some oil painting, an oil painting section in one of the other bays, so I don't have to smell turpentine. But yeah, I love the vibrancy of it. I do a lot of live painting at festivals, and I've done over 4,500 events at different nightclubs and festivals and whatnot. So it's like, having something that dries quick, and that's why I've been working with acrylic for like almost 20 years. So, but yeah, in fact, after my grandma passed away a couple years ago, they gave me back all the art that I had gifted her. And in a couple instances, I have some of the really just shitty, awful ocean wave Bob Ross oil paintings that I did. And when I was getting into like doing the weirder art and being known for it, my grandma would always tease about how she had dirt on me. She's like, "Oh, well, you better be nice to me because I have dirt on you. I have got like landscapes that you painted." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." I'm like, "Please do not show those to anybody." I might actually pop one on Twitch to show you guys in the future. Some of the shit's funny. It's gonna work. Oh, work late. Oh, I thought you had a gym. Like, I'm like, damn, this is one of those companies that like really takes care of you. There's like a gym and a kitchen. I had this vision in my head of just like that scene in Aliens where like Vasquez and all the Marines are working out and like getting ready to go, and I'm like, is that kind of what your work's like? You know, like weld this shit and then go pump iron. Varnish, yeah. How long you gotta wait? I mean, what's the dry time on that? You know, depends how thick it is, right? Like Van Gogh's took like a year. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Some people say it takes between 3 to 6 months. All depends. Yeah. You gotta wonder, like for Bob Ross, that guy painted like 7 days a week. Do they have like a drying room for him? Like where'd they put all this shit? They just had a big warehouse with all his shit. Right. Like working with resins, steampunk lighters and resins. I used to take months, and then people are like, "How much for me to buy that?" And I'm like, "You can't afford it." Right? First $4,000 lighter. They do have some sort of jewel, like 24 karat gold plated Genius pipe, like one of a kind. You know, just some goofy shit that they put together for promo. Future. There we go. Yeah, that's pretty trippy. It's like these could be different like vortexes, like little wormholes, or like different rabbit holes throughout the universe. You never know where they're gonna. But if I were to sell them like over $1,000, yeah, that's amazing, dude. That sounds like I need to get one. Let me get my first round of manufacturing money in. I'll commission you. I love unique shit like that. Like my sketches that I have, my Fear and Loathing black and white drawings of Hunter. Like I drew Hunter in the car, and then I got John Kay, who created Ren and Stimpy, to draw Ren, and then I got Andy Rustano, who developed all the Adventure Time characters. So we sat next to each other at Comic-Con in San Diego, and he drew Jake and Finn like in the car. So I have all these like very unique pieces in my personal art collection. You know, because I'm always like, well, what am I gonna have in my art collection? Like, what unique thing can I have that nobody else can buy from this artist? And kind of came up with that idea of doing a sketch and having them like on the fly, like collaborate with me. Just haven't done any Comic-Cons lately, or I'd get a couple more done. Music, where you be at? There we go. I need to show you some pics. I'm thinking of streaming my small metalworking, but damn, I need cameras everywhere. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Yeah, I mean anything. You should do your art and cigar review stream, and then have a couple days a week do the metal one. You're definitely going to pick up a few different crowds and expand your viewership for sure. It's cool that you can do stuff like that. Like that specialized kind of, something that took a while to learn and you don't see much of. All right. One more. Loving the background. Cool. I am too. I think it'll work, especially when it's like the baby blues and it, it almost gives it that, like, almost like she's 50s hallucinating. Like she's seeing stars, and they're stars from the 50s. Like Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. But again, just taking just another element that was like not intentional, and then going, you know what? Why don't we up the game and take it one step further, and that's going to really help make the painting. So I'm glad it worked out. Glad you dig it. Because if not, I would have painted it anyway, and you just would have been sad watching this shit. So. But if I didn't like it, and I had one of those cool lighters, I could light the fucker on fire live, and that'd be worth watching. Now, I'd make it work. That's why I try and like really visualize what it's going to look like before I put anything on canvas, And not everything's going to come out the way I intended it. A lot of it doesn't. Once it's on there, and like the darks, like just how much black that now adds. Does it, because obviously putting this stuff around her really sets her back, because it's all the same. It's just black and white, but I know that that's going to be yellow and baby blue, and these are all like the mosquito painting that's in the top right corner that's scrolling by, so it'll be kind of that salmon color and whatnot. This is red and greens and maybe some flesh tones and whatnot for her, so I know that's going to contrast nicely and color-wise. But yeah, sometimes you put the black and white in and you're like, Thank you. It did take courage. But you got to learn to, make these decisions that are, that's how you create your style. That's how you come up with stuff. Like I said, I'm pretty sure maybe somewhere in the world, but there's not too many artists that are drawing a gambling red queen with 50 Sputnik balls on the wall behind it. I mean, it's, you know, like I said, from a design perspective as well, putting in elements that just generally aren't associated with the genre or the character. You know, steampunk does it well. I mean, that's a great example. That takes, like, you know, everyday shit and just adds bronze and brass and, you know, I mean, a lot of it obviously a specific time period, but and just runs with it. Yeah. Yay me. Plug that in a minute. Checking my emails here on stream. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase. God, I almost want to put a... No, we're gonna stop. That's how you become an addict. Okay. Get rid of these lines. And then, like I said, once these are painted in, when I scan this in, I can extract these little things. They'll go on coffee cups or a rolling tray or whatever else I'm producing, and I can just experiment with these little design elements that are in a larger scale painting. So, making the artwork very hard, and that's what it's all about. And it creates scarcity too, you know, if it does take you a long time to do a painting, but yet if you are licensing your stuff out and whatnot, and there's only a certain amount of paintings and you know that you get done, it actually helps increase the value, and but at the same time providing you with you know, residual income. So here we are at this point. I'm not going to drop any color in tonight. I'm going to do it tomorrow. But I will, oh, Think Tank Crush just puts, hang on, let me see if I can, you guys got to see this shit. Let's see, so my buddy Gideon, I mean, he creates stuff like that, like just like, where is that camera? Floating orbs. These are all like display cases too. He's actually developing some pretty fucking cool display cases, you know, where you can set products like in there and it'll actually create an infinite loop. And trying to find some of the cool stuff. Where's that? That's pretty badass. I don't know if he built that, but yeah, he doesn't have the distillery. He's blowtorching and toasting some wood. Yeah, this guy's insane, man. And so him and I are actually going to be working on some stuff together where we take some of the stuff that I do and create some really high-end ways to present art or display it or rotate or a cool frame or something just like pretty obscene. And super high end. So, you know, as far as getting into manufacturing and doing, like, you know, stuff that's sold at smoke shops and whatnot, I also am working on going the other way and putting out like a luxury, like a really high end fine art line of how do we frame things different? How do we do really cool stuff with the you know, what we put the canvas in and whatnot. So, yeah, we've been talking. So, and I hooked them up with Genius Pipe. So the Genius Pipe, they're actually doing some really, really awesome display cases that'll be at my booth in Louisville. So, cap what's left of my Holbein. Let me get a picture here. Got to post it on the Instagram, right? Woo! Let's see. There we go. And then we'll, but yeah, I'll be back on tomorrow, 9 p.m. to drop some color in this bad boy. And I don't know if we'll finish it, but we'll try and get far. And
Well, I got 5 of you. Who's on? Maybe we can raid someone. Is it / raid or is it exclamation point raid? I always forget what Whoa. Info, chat, whatever. We'll just go browse. Thanks, guys, for hanging out, and I will see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. We're going to drop some color in on this bad boy, and maybe I'll show off a couple of cool little things that I'm working on as well. So maybe some of the blacklight stuff. So awesome. Thank you so much for all the people that jumped in. Star Wolf Den, thanks for the follow, and everybody else that hopped in, and we'll see you tomorrow. Awesome. Off to get a cold PBR. Cheers, everyone.